Hello, my name is Wes Bridges, and you are listening with what my guest would call your earballs. That's right. Today I have Tori Doctor from Off the Beaten Path Musical, OBPmusical, a fantasy style, ever changing musical. He is the founding director, playwright, librettist for the show, and he's joining me today. So thank you, Tori, for coming in today.
Thank you, Sally. Take five.
Thank you. We have Tori Doctor today with OBP Off the Beaten Path Musical, based out of Canada, Calgary, more specifically, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I pronounced that right.
You did. It was great.
So we got a couple questions for you, Tori, today. I appreciate your time so much, and we're going to kind of answer things as we go. So I'm not doing much of an intro because we're going to get to the whole reason. Our name, Adventures Till the Curtain Calls, is because we were a bunch of guys that within our network that love the theater. And as a person who has written a D&D musical, as we also play D&D, it was like a perfect syncopation here to get you on. So where did your love for music and theater originally begin for you?
As a child, I was a singer first and foremost,
Mhm.
and so I was singing national anthems at professional baseball games for the Reading Phillies, the affiliate to the Philadelphia Phillies, and then from there I went into musical theater and dance, and became really passionate about the genre, and had a long career in musical theater. Worked all over the world.
Yeah, we have from, and I know this is gonna bounce around from the list I gave you, Tori, but you have done multiple shows going from Evita, Beauty and the Beast. You've done Cats.
The
What has
musical,
been like
not
the
the
most
animal. There's a very big
the
difference.
musical?
Yeah,
Yes,
just got to preface that.
just set those two aside.
Yeah.
But so what is the most enjoyable or impacting production that you were a part of? And if it wasn't part of that production, what was your favorite role?
Oh wow. Okay. The one I'm most proud of is a show called Blood Brothers. It's
Yes.
really big, and yeah. I'm so glad you know it, Wes. It's really big in across the pond. I saw it on London's West End. I fell in love with the soundtrack before I ever saw the show. I saw it in the West End, and I wept openly. I had those
Mm.
ugly cries where the chin crinkles up, it's when
Yeah.
doing that. I was in the front row and the cast was like, there's something wrong with that man. But I was just so overwhelmed. And then years later, I got a call from my agent saying, hey, you're being offered the role of Eddie Lyons in Blood Brothers. And I
Oh,
was over the moon, right? So that's probably the show that, as a matter of fact, one of the cast members said to me in the dressing room as we were getting changed. As a matter of fact, he played my brother, Mickey.
mm.
Um, he said to me, "Tori, do you ever feel like you're doing your best work that you've ever done every day
Ooh.
of your life while you're doing the show?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Ooh.
Paul McQuillan, brilliant man, great guy, played my brother,
Mm.
and I think to this day, both he and I hold that up as the pinnacle of our performance career, our emotional connection, our storytelling career. That show changed me,
Mm.
and really helped me become a better storyteller. In Blood Brothers, you have the narrator. In my musical, you have the architect, who
Yeah.
is the narrator of the show, right? So, yeah, Blood Brothers affected me deeply, and was probably the one that I go to most often. That being said, there were other shows like Vaudeville, not a well-known show, but
Okay.
all the stuff from the Vaudeville era. I did a little bit of everything, Twist and Shout, The British Invasion, all these shows where it was
Okay.
really Tory Doctor on stage talking to thousands of people and introducing the next It was a variety show, and I was the host of
Sure.
that variety show, and I got to do magic, and I got to do stand up, and I got to do impressions, and I got to talk to the audience, do audience participation. It was pretty great.
But there's just something transformative that, like, I do theater here in Illinois and haven't gotten to go around much, but that's okay. Theater's theater, no matter what level. When you love it, you find a way to experience it. But when you find that role, I did Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and when you find that role that, like, you just really resonate with, that I feel like challenges you to yourself be better in order to meet the standard that you set for that role in your own mind. Maybe that's
Yeah.
just me or something, but I mean, I also had to see a chiropractor every week for like months, but
Not a
that was also good.
surprise.
No, no, actual hunch. It did not help well. So uh, from that, so this love of theater, going traveling around the world, you've been composing for how long?
Well, I'm a terrible composer, but I am a librettist, and I'm really good at that.
Librettist.
I have been writing librettos for musicals for about 15 years now, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, a little over 15 years. I was working with the world's biggest producers of musicals, working with Disney and their Broadway review show in Tokyo, where I met Alan Menken, the composer of Little Mermaid,
Yeah.
and all the big shows, Beauty and the Beast, and
Hmm.
I worked with Cameron McIntosh's people on Hey Mr. Producer, and funny enough, on cruise ships, singing with people from Les Mis and Phantom and Cats and all these big giant shows.
Hmm.
And when I left performance, I wanted to write shows that I wanted to see up on stage.
Sure.
And so that's when I started to really write about 15 years ago. And then it's within the last 5 years that I've really focused on storytelling. And hopefully
Right.
my goal is to evolve theater to the next step, right? I'm an ideas man. As they say,
Hmm. Sure.
I'm an ideas man, Michael. Um, and and so I that's why I started writing Off the Beaten Path, because it's a choose your own adventure style fantasy musical. It's a
Yeah.
multi-platform experience where the world is huge, so you get hints
Mhm.
on the internet, in newsletters, uh, in hashtags. So so if you follow our world, make sure you pay attention to hashtags. Often there's little hints in there, or I outright say things just to make sure that people are paying attention. But yeah, I started writing simply because I really wanted to be a bard and take people on
Sure.
uh, emotional journeys.
Sure. Well, and that kind of leads into it. So you've been now more I would say invested, more devoted to that in the last 5 years. COVID hits.
Yeah,
Um, Theater is shut down.
yeah.
The TikTok is now thriving because Vine had fallen by the wayside. And I see on my feed, uh, duet this an audition for this D&D musical. What prompted you to, I guess, go to TikTok with this?
Well, it's funny when we started doing when the pandemic happened, we had a couple of theater companies that were interested, and then everything shut down. When
Right.
everything shut down, we brought the show to Zoom, a Zoom theatrical performance, and we invited a couple of people, and they loved it. They fell in love with the show, and then they
Mm,
said, "What are we doing next week?" And I said, "Well, I guess there's 130 versions. We'll do another one of these."
right.
And so what happened was people fell in love with the music so much that they were like, "Hey, we want to use your music in our TTRPGs."
Mm,
And so I was like, yeah, commission us. And we thought we might get 5, 10, maybe 20 max. Well, now it turns out we've had over 300 commissions and 13 hours of music.
wow.
But what prompted that to that move to TikTok was to promote the business. And
Right.
our first major TikTok, I think it was one of our first TikToks,
Mm,
um, took off, right? It got 30,000 views in a matter of a couple days, and then it stopped because we're a shadow band. Anyway, doesn't matter.
I don't know what
I
you're
don't
talking
know how it works. The algorithm is very
no,
all
it
over the
doesn't.
place
No.
right now. Yes.
Oh dear.
And yes, exactly. But it blew up and went mini viral, I guess.
Sure.
And then we got a lot of eyes on our musical commissions. And then because nobody was working and nobody was busy, we decided, why don't we do an all TikTok cast of Off the Beaten
Mhm.
Path? I had Lauren Culver direct it, and Nico Rhodes, our composer, was a musical director, and we cast it from complete strangers on the internet, and did a performance in July of, I want to say, 2021. I think that was that it? Oh, so long ago.
Yeah.
And yet
3 years.
it feels
Yeah.
like yesterday. Yeah, so we it was pretty amazing, the response that we had. And
Mhm.
Lauren was a brilliant director, and she
Sure.
owns the artistic rights. If I pass unexpectedly, she gets the artistic rights to do with what she likes with Off the
There we
Beaten
go.
Path, because she's so wonderful and brilliant, and she gets the world. So yeah, that's why we brought
But
it
that'll never
to
happen
TikTok.
because you're a lich and you're never
That's
going to
right.
die. Yeah.
My
So.
phylactery is in a place no one can find. Get out of the garbage. That's what my phylactery is.
Well, there we go. Wonderful. So what was it like to see, because you were creating this show that, there was interest for live performances. It went to TikTok, and it blew up. I would say it blew up because, I mean, it would be on my FYP every other, like, be like, this is our cool guard, this is our dar, and or whoever that may be. But it was thoroughly so amazing to watch, I should say. Just because it was a medium that I feel, it was, it filled that gap of theater that was missing.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we can watch stuff on Netflix and Amazon Prime, but it's just the closest thing we had to live for me was to see OBP. And there was actually, you were written about in the Calgary Herald. What was it like to have a news piece on your show?
You know, it's pretty great when people start to, because we are so very different than any theatrical performance and production,
Sure.
right? You know, you have shows like Sheer Madness that has a nondescript ending until the audience votes.
Right.
I think they vote in that one. And Mystery of Edwin Drood, they vote on how that ends. But there are no theatrical musicals in particular that have this many options of 130 possibilities, plus a secret ending. So trying to explain that to an old print journalist was very interesting. Now, what do you mean a secret ending? What do you mean a secret ending? Well, yeah, you have a secret ending that the audience can unlock. Well, how do they unlock it? Well, it's we break that fourth wall, right? Yeah. And he was like, "This is, I don't understand this, but it's amazing." Right? So, and the other thing is, like, so the idea is that as soon as you buy a ticket to our show, you become immersed in it immediately. You vote as soon as you buy that ticket, and vote on where we start. And believe it or not, that vote has consequences to the second and third musicals that we have planned. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you didn't know it was a trilogy.
No.
The Greater Companions trilogy, Off the Beaten Path, The Path Less Traveled, and Path's End. As any great fantasy franchise, you have to have a trilogy. Yeah.
So essentially, you're creating, you're the J.R.R. Tolkien of fantasy musicals, is what I'm hearing. And
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'll take it. I would be completely curious how this would translate to stage with all these different ending or all these different variations of scene progression to unlocking a secret ending, which apparently I have not seen. But was there? uh, Did you have any intention in your mind while creating this, like how it might look if it were presented on stage?
Yeah, so the idea is that I'm gonna just quickly do my camera here because it's been a pain in the butt, and I'm back. Hey!
Hey.
Um, the idea is that we don't break the fourth wall, but we bend it. When we address
Mm,
the audience, most often it's as if the audience were the nobility of Karsus or
sure.
are the townsfolk. What would you and the townsfolk like to hear? All those in favor
Right.
of this, right? So you become a part of the show. So that's kind of how it works. And we gauge by all those in favor say aye, all those in favor say nay, right? That kind of thing.
Sure.
Um, and so that's how we manage it. There's another scene that's in the show that if it's in a theatrical experience, a spotlight hits a person in a seat and says
Mm,
yes or
yeah.
no, and they say
Ooh.
right, and
Oh, that.
then right,
Ooh.
you have consequences to your choices, and it's
Sure.
really interesting because as well we break that fourth wall so the undead are fighting in the aisles,
Mm,
right? And they're going to grab you, and then Kulgar comes and saves you, right? So
mm,
there's a connection there, an emotional connection, because when he saves you, looks at you, gives you a wink, and then can,
right.
right? It's incredible. You're completely immersed in this event,
Mm,
and so you can throw yourself into it as deep or as shallowly as you want. You can go, that was a good show, I enjoyed myself, and now off for dinner. Or you can go, I
sure.
want to go see like 20 other endings, I got to see how this show,
Right.
right? What if I choose this? What does that mean? Right.
Yeah. I, and for I think that traditional theater lovers, some people love the epilogue. We have the build up, the tension, and then a resolution. Some people are okay with that, and we're not knocking that. But it's also so refreshing to see a break from that mold, to see something that is new, that I'm calling it innovative. When theater has been, I don't want to say cookie cutter with its building of musicals, we have someone says we're not using the cookie mold. We're just going to pipe it onto the pan and see where it goes, which is utterly astounding. Like I said, I enjoyed it. And I apologize. I am way off kilter here because I'm
No, no,
so
it's
in
fine.
depth
I'm
into it.
so excited.
Oh, I know. If so, what sparked though this connection? Your enjoyment of theater, your love of theater, being a librettist, a playwright. Where did the connection though between musical and fantasy happen for you, or how did
That's a
that
great
happen for
question.
you?
Yeah, yeah. So is when I was a when I was a wee boy, my next door neighbor, downstairs neighbor, actually had these little pewter miniatures
Okay.
hanging up in a little curio on the wall, and one was holding a sword, and another one had a crystal ball, and
Mm,
it was like it was magic, and all of these characters, these heroes were standing right before me, and while they were only an inch and a half tall, to me they were they were as real as life, and I would just stare, and I would
sure.
pretend and write little stories in my head about these characters. I would see who the hero is, who the bad guy is, and my
Mm,
mind is always writing stories. What's the most compelling? What takes the audience on a journey? And so I loved fantasy from a child, and I loved music as a child.
sure.
Growing up, I discovered Tolkien, and I discovered Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm,
And this is a genre that was very hush hush when I was growing up. We don't play Dungeons and Dragons. We don't play D&D. We
yeah.
just getting together later. Yeah, we get together later.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but in theater, there is very little fantasy in theater.
Sure.
And you can really count on one hand the amount of um, well-known fantasy musicals or plays there are. There's She Kills Monsters.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
play is getting more and more play nowadays. Forgive
Mhm.
the pun. And the Lord of the Rings, which started in Toronto. Look,
Yes.
I love Lord of the Rings. I love musical theater, and I loved the cast of Lord of the Rings. It was made up of all of my friends. I was like, yes,
There
this
you
is
go.
it. And when I saw that, it didn't scratch the itch that I had wanted it to scratch.
Sure.
Right? It didn't fulfill my desire as a lover of all of my friends and their talents and musical theater and the possibilities and music and Lord of the Rings. It just didn't mesh the way I had hoped it would. And
Sure.
so I wanted to bring an adventure to the stage where the audience isn't just a bystander, but where they
Mhm.
have choices, and those choices have consequences. And even when you intend the best, there are
Sure.
unintended consequences to any choice you make in life, as there are in Off the Beaten Path, right?
That's honestly a beautiful connection there. A perfect allegory. And it almost, comparatively speaking, to a D&D campaign,
Mhm.
you have your campaigns where every plot point is planned out. This is going to happen. This
Yeah.
point, this point, this point. Here's the ending. It is what it is. You either lose or you win. But realistically, though, your show, as most D&D games should, have consequences. There is an ebb and a flow. One pushes the other and it pushes back. And the fact that if it is voted upon, there is a decision you may not like, you may not go along with, and you have to, I say, sit through it in the nicest of terms. You have to sit through that decision that has been made and experience that decision as you
Yeah.
would in any other D&D game. Your compatriot does something, you are all locked now in jail. You didn't make that choice, but and that's what I mean by sit through it. I don't mean anything negative by that. I just mean
Oh,
you have
right. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
experience that decision in whatever fulfillment it reaches. And that being said, Tori, what
Yeah.
class are you? When you play D&D, what are you?
I Tory Doctor is a bard for sure.
I
Um,
get that
uh,
vibe. I get
yeah,
that.
yeah. I tell you, all that song and dance, I can do with the best of them. But if I love to play a good ranger, I love
Mm,
to I love to have a chaotic bent and look at things a different way. And so I choose characters that purposely look at things a different way,
okay.
and really try and dig into in Off the Beaten Path, and this in the world of our Lyris, which is the world that Off the Beaten Path takes place in. We celebrate tropes, but we don't lean into
Mhm.
them. In other words, we have reasons that the barbarian can't count past six, right? As opposed to I'm dumb, can't count past six in Off
Right.
the Beaten Path. We discover that Kulgar can't count past six, and we touch on it, but in the expanded Stories of Valyris 3, Kulgar, the Making of a Hero, we find out that Kulgar can't count past six because on his sixth name day, his mother taught him how to count to six. And then the slavers heard her and they
Mm.
killed her the following day. So it's an emotional block for him,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh,
It's I can't
yeah.
count past that. So when he counts to six, it's not just a or just to seven. It's not just a celebration that he can now count to seven. It's a celebration that he's leveled up and faced
Sure.
his biggest obstacle is that the crushing memory of losing his mother and blaming himself for it. Because if he
Sure.
weren't counting loudly, maybe they wouldn't have heard him.
Sure.
Right. Right. And so right? So we celebrate those tropes. We just don't lean into them.
Mm,
And when I play, I always celebrate that trope, but I give a reason for it. I
sure.
back it up with the trauma or the backstory,
Right.
and always want to. My goal is always to take people on a journey, whether it be playing a character in D&D or writing a musical or play.
Because if I'm not mistaken, you do play in a game, and you guys have aired some episodes where I've seen some episodes, or sessions, I should say, of you playing, because it's a party of four, a party of five, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Well, yeah. So since Off the Beaten Path, a lot of streamers have asked that I come in and join them in their
oh,
D&D
okay.
campaigns. But we did Tales of the Rough Ride Tavern last year,
Hmm.
where we have people from the world of our Lyris. We take you through and give you hints of what's to come in the world of our Lyris and in the next
Sure.
shows. And so we're weaving all of that together. And ultimately, we would love to put in our Lyris uh, package together where you get to go on an adventure and you meet Kulgar and you meet Kydius and you meet
Oh, like a
Roswin
campaign
along the way.
setting.
A campaign setting, yeah.
Yes.
And you get their stats and you right
Oh man.
and
Ooh.
you can encounter your heroes.
Yeah.
um well, and that's one of I mean, to get back to the musical, that's one of the cool things about the musical is the idea that
Yes.
um we when you go to the theater, Wes the Bard, right? You
Hmm.
you put in your D&D character name.
Oh yeah.
Wes the
Yeah.
Bard is there, and then in the show, nobody's come through here except for Wes the Bard, and his catchphrase was, uh, "There's a campaign for everything, right? Whatever it is."
Sure. Yeah.
So we take down that you're there. We take down your character's name and your catchphrase, and you may find it, hear it in the show, and then you are drawn in, become canon, right? And then
Sure.
from there, I, as a writer, may take Wes the Bard and have them as a ancillary character in other spots throughout the world. So Wes the
Sure.
Bard might appear or be mentioned in.
Right.
So that's why it's a multi-platform event, is that not
Mhm.
only can you play it at your table, around the table with a bunch of folks, you can go to the theater, you can see it on streaming, you can go to YouTube, you can get the newsletter and
Sure.
immerse yourself into this world.
It almost seems like from the first um advertisement, promo, or just media push about this, the world, while has been created, it is continuing to be created. It's
Yeah,
continuing to evolve and to grow, which to any DM, we love that. We are happy to
yeah.
see something go beyond just, our bare bones that we've given. Please, our PCs take this and do something with it. You're doing that with everyone that comes and sees the show or gets involved. And that's beautiful. I would buy a campaign setting based on that. But so you have you have has sale, even 79.99, whatever you want to do, you got it. um but going a little bit back to it with OBP, you're not just the musical. You've spoken about it before, that you do commissions, about 300 commissions you said that you've done now, which
Yeah.
conveniently can be found on Apple Music, Spotify, and everything, just because I'm I use some of them for my own personal non-streaming game. So
Yeah. That makes me so happy.
yeah. Yeah. So so if I guess, why do you do commissions? You said originally it was to, help build the business more and everything, but now that
Yeah.
you're seeing it grow more and more, you know, why do you continue to do what you do?
Well, there's something really special about having your own music written specifically for you or for your character or for your
Right.
world, right? Everyone knows Darth Vader's theme song,
Sure.
right? That entrance, the Indiana Jones, right? Um,
Hmm.
we believe that D&D is heroes. It's all about heroes,
Sure.
and every hero deserves a theme song. And you Wes, you listeners, you watchers, all deserve music in your own style and genre and feel, where you get to be the hero, right? Your character
Hmm.
gets to be. Everyone gets portrait art,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But we have clients that play our music every time they go into their world, right?
Sure.
It's that theme song, and it anchors you to it. And we believe that everyone deserves music, not just people who can afford fully orchestrated
Yeah.
cinematic mucus is what we're all right.
I'll buy
um,
that. Uh,
but everyone deserves music for their characters in the world, and we realize that it's five people around a table most often,
sure.
right? So
Right.
we really like to keep the cost down. As a matter of fact, we brought on our HR person, and we were talking her through what we do, and then she saw the price of the commissions that we've done, and she's like, "Oh, I thought they were way more." I'm literally in shock at how
Right.
affordable these are.
Right.
And it's because we know that it's usually five people around a table, and
Sure.
um, that they can't afford, you know, $1,000 a minute, which is the standard rate is 1,000 US dollars
Mm.
per minute. We come in at a tenth of that at the
Sure.
highest end, right?
Sure.
Um, and so we want to make sure that everyone has access to music so they can fully
Mm.
fill out their world and celebrate their characters, and maybe even tell that you know how you go, "Oh my goodness, last night we saw this epic ancient red dragon and we were so close to
Mm.
death that I rolled a nat 20." Well, imagine if you tell us that story and we have one of our lyricists write the
Mm.
lyrics out, and then we fully orchestrate it, and then we get Jean Valjean from Les Mis to sing it.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Like,
and then that's integrated into the world, and you have a bard now with his minstrel group singing playing your production that you've made, commission that you've done. And
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please
No,
continue.
no, that's okay. That's great. Because and then you don't even have to tell people the story. You can just go, "This is what happened, play." Right?
Oh
And
man.
all of a sudden, you hear of the epic battle with the great red worm, and so we've got three lyricists, we've got six composers, and we've got 10
Sure.
vocalists from Les Mis, Come From Away, Disney. We've got country singers, opera singers, anything you need, right? And so
Sure.
we can do any style and genre, so you don't have to continue to find that perfect song. And I will say to your listeners and your watchers and your viewers,
Yes.
that when you're looking for pieces to play for D&D, I want you to, this is how you save time. Get a piece of music that is 70% what you were looking for. Find 70%, because you're never going to find that 100% unless you
Sure.
commission it specifically. And I know
Yes.
people who have found something within the first 5 minutes and it's like, it's good, it's not quite right. Well, don't
Yeah.
keep on looking, because you're not going to find it. You're going to spend how many hours when you could have been rolling up a new character or building a new world or doing the dishes or
Sure.
laundry or going to work.
What? But well, and I think that it's creating an opportunity for, like, you as a child with the miniatures, with the figurines, creating that possibility of someone hearing this song, whether it's just an orchestration and it's ambiance music, or if it's the fully fleshed out ancient slaying of the red dragon. It's there's a way to be inspired in so many mediums. People just think, it's the words that we say, it's the things that we see, but it's also the things that we feel and feel from hearing things. And
Right.
music is, in my opinion, and I am no musicologist or anything like that, but music is one of the most deeply rooted and impacting things that a person can experience. It makes you feel emotions. I can read words and feel no emotions from words,
Right.
but music makes you feel something almost instantly the moment it starts to go.
Yeah.
And
We love telling auditory stories. We love
yeah,
taking people on a journey. And actually here, I'm just gonna play this.
From farms and fields to turrets and manned, and to the last of us, he'll make a stand. For we are of the North.
This client wanted something to celebrate his party, and they're called the Heroes of the North, and so they wanted to write this incredible piece that was epic
sure.
and cinematic, and
But a death sentence was an oath that you swore, and all of the North is going to war. So come on.
this is a call and answer with the audience, right?
Yeah.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come and join us, the heroes of the North. With them we'll sally forth. The warrior knight, the maiden of air.
It's so it gives that right there gave me vibes of like we were speaking of Tolkien and Lord of the Rings earlier. It gives me that vibe of the party adventuring forward. They have this goal, they have this intention. That's the vibe I got from that. And knowing nothing about that game whatsoever, I know instantly that this is a moment of inspiration, that it is a moment of dedication to their cause or
Yes.
their quest. And it's you can convey that in so many words, but just feeling that instantly, that conviction out of this. And honestly, I plug, so I don't even care. I'm plugging, and you're gonna plug, and we're all gonna plug, because near the end of this, I'm gonna have you tell us where we can find you for everything. But this is next level gaming, in my opinion, which should be a standard. And I hope that makes sense. Like, it's next level, as in this is commissioned, this is personalized for your game, but every game deserves to feel the way that this music is making them feel
Right.
from the
Right.
onset.
Yeah.
And as you said, for a tenth of that price, they're able to actually achieve that, something affordable for the Joe Schmucks like myself out there in the
Well,
world.
and that was David Silvestri, who's on tour with Come From Away and plays Jean Valjean in Les Mis, right? And then here's another piece. So another genre and style, right? That's
yeah.
Adam Lucas out of Vancouver, great vocalist, composer Aidan Chan. Before our other pieces were by Nico Rhodes. Brilliant composers, brilliant artists, and they bring your worlds to life, your characters to life. That particular one was actually written for an author whose character in the main character, the protagonist in her story, was a songwriter, and they had one hit. And so she's like, I can't write the hit. Can you guys write the hit for me? And we were like, oh, absolutely. Right.
You created canon for somebody else's story, and I love that.
Exactly. Exactly. We love doing that. One of the other things we also do is musical puzzles, right?
Okay.
Where you need an event to happen, and there's an NPC who has this melody always playing behind them, and this NPC on the other side of town that has this melody playing together. And when you put them together, both of those melodies make a harmony and a new melody, and the event opens up. There's a lots of things that we can do. I don't want to get too into detail, because people, I don't want to, for people that come to us for those, I don't want to give away how to do them.
Right.
But that's an example of how sometimes we hide music throughout the world, and people have to figure out. One of them is this DM had hidden bells throughout the whole world, and we wrote a melody for them that was in the battle
Mm,
theme music, the ethereal realm, in the tavern music. So anytime they played, it was always playing in the background, and they had to ring it
mm.
in a certain order, right? These are things that we love doing.
In there, so you said you have 6 composers,
Yeah.
3 lyricists,
Lyricists.
librettists. Do you, when the commission comes in, like, do you see it and you're like, hey, so, or whoever, is deciding, like, hey, this is more your style, you have this commission, or this is more your style? Because how in depth do some of these commissions go? Are they like, I want this in kind of like a postmodern kind of a feel, this kind of exists a real live artist kind of, flair to it? How does that kind of decision making process work?
Yeah, so basically we get an idea of the commission by saying we want something with a jazz fusion style, and then you give us 5 adjectives that basically tell us the feel and tone that you're looking for.
Sure.
And then you say, often you'll say, oh, I love this song from Evanescence, or I love this song from
Okay.
Postmodern Jukebox, and I kind of want this feel. And then we choose the appropriate composer, lyricist, and vocalist. This one is Shanna Stoker.
By the way, the table's set.
This is for a speakeasy.
Oh yeah.
That, right? Funny thing about Shanna Stoker is that she's the descendant of Bram Stoker, and she's one of our vocalists and talented actors. Yeah, yeah, she's incredible, absolutely incredible.
That-
But yeah,
that
you tell us.
definitely- Oh, so
Sorry,
go
what
ahead.
were you saying?
Go ahead.
Oh,
No, you. No, you.
So
I
yeah,
got you.
depending
This
on-
is your time. You talk.
depending on what you're looking for, we can do it in any style and genre, because sometimes, like I'm DMing a campaign. I was asked to do a docu-series, and so the theme song to that was very 1920s feel, and so
Okay.
we did this piece, which, you're not going to get this specifically anywhere else, right? And the name of the locales and stuff like that.
Sure.
This is your world.
Shadows and escape. 'Cause Helga and her Horace, they make your horns a hop.
1920s, Great Gatsby feel.
Oh yeah.
At the city's
That's,
hottest.
I was just imagining Leo DiCaprio
Yeah.
as Gatsby. But and especially the one before that gave me a lot of Lucy at the Red Rat from Jekyll and Hyde vibes.
Oh,
The one
yes.
prior
Yeah.
to this one, yeah. I'm also I'm a huge musical nerd, so I apologize.
Don't ever
So,
apologize for Jekyll and Hyde, my friend. I love that
I
show
love
so
it.
much. Yeah.
And Constantine was amazing when he did it, and it was phenomenal. I had an honor of shooting him at the end as I played Utterson once, so that was always
Oh.
nice. Spoiler alert. There you have it. Uh, so you told us like about the process of what you ask for when somebody's looking for commissions, like your guys' process and how you develop it once you get that commission. So I guess, I'm now at that point, like, what are the major projects that you're working on? I mean, we have a trilogy of musicals to come. So what's kind of the next big thing for OBP or for you specifically? Do you have any theater shows coming up, productions coming up or anything?
Yeah, well, I've since retired officially as an actor on stage, but this coming June 19th, we're doing Stories of Our Lyris 9, The Tools of the Gods. And that delves into the world of our lyrics that OBP takes place in. And we're writing it. We've got an incredible cast. And so we're always continuing to build this world. So that next one, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, June 19th. Come and join us for free, online, free. That's less than $1, just in case you're wondering. And it's twice as free in Canada because of the exchange rate.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, that's the next thing. And then I go into my musical theater intensive workshops where I direct 7 musicals in 5 weeks, which is insane. But then, yeah,
Okay.
that's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know how I do it. But then continuing to work on OBP and the Greater Companions trilogy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, because I know your time is precious. So I'm trying to stay within my bounds here. But so thank you so much for joining us. But for us, I'm going to say other than just me, because I know it's just me, but for other fans or people that are interested in learning about OBP Musical or getting commissions, or they just want to listen, where can they go?
Great question. Well, you can go to OBPmusical.com. You can get to pretty well everywhere from there. We're OBP Musical on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and we are on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. Everywhere you're streaming, we are there. We've released a concept album online, OBP Off the Beaten Path Musical. And that was our first release. And now we've got about 200 songs on top of that from our commissions that have just been released. So yeah, obpmusical.com is your place to go.
We'll have all those links for you in the descriptions. Thank you again so much, Tori, for your time. And we are looking forward to you listening out there. We just got done filming our Warforged had his own little journey, and found out that there might be more than just one person in his head. But you'll have to listen in and find out. So again, thank you. And until next time, 5 to Places.
Thank you,